Welcome back to Yaffee Live. We're here, Talk Radio 102.3, live and local now. At this time every week, we speak with Brandon Lewis. He is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative, and find out more about them at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, welcome to the show once again, my friend.
Hey, if the legislature is in session, hear you, everyone come to order.
Yes, except apparently one of your reporters has been banned from showing up there.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? I mean, what was their reasoning for this?
So it's funny, and it's probably representative of the deceits and lies that often come out of TNGOP leadership. We applied directly to Cameron Sexton for access. There are no conservative news reporters that are allowed in the press briefings. Not a single solitary one. There never has been. People have applied before, and they have been turned down. And so Cameron Sexton says, well, I can't give you floor access. I can't give you press conference access. That's the press corps. Well, we email the press corps, and the press corps chairman emails back and says, we have never told the speaker in any chamber who could be on the floor or who could be in press conferences. Those decisions are completely up to him. And so, the first thing he leads off with is misinformation and lies. And then we apply to the press corps, and we are unanimously rejected. And the only people that are in the press corps are more liberal publications like the Associated Press, the Tennessee Lookout, Times Free Press, the Nashville Scene, Chalk Beak, National Public Radio. There's never been a single solitary conservative news organization allowed in. And then finally, Cameron Sexton, I got a text image of him sending messages to people saying that he intentionally keeps out conservative organizations like me and the Tennessee Star. And so for those of you who are listening and you think, oh, we're in this red state, everything's okay, they really love freedom of speech, they embrace conservative media, you'd be wrong.
It's just amazing. It seems like it's like spiting himself, though. You would think a Republican legislature would want conservatives in there. But yeah, I guess it kind of makes your point that at least the leadership not as conservative as we would like.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to the same thing it always has, and that's the money. And if you look at where Cameron Sexton and leadership's money comes from, it's from corporations and special interest outside of their district. It's 90+%. And those same corporations own and are funded by the publications that are let in. And so it is a corporate cabal. They've got the narrative that they've purchased both on the elected side and the media side. And so it is incumbent upon news outlets like ours and talk radio hosts like you to get the truth out there, because we've got very little access with the powerful in Tennessee.
So let me ask you this. Are there any other avenues to get your reporter in there? I mean, is there anything else we can do?
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I can't do it in the next 2 weeks because I've got a big conference coming up. But it is my intention, with the support of our subscribers, because we put thousands of phone calls and emails into Sexton's office, is I've already purchased his voter list, the people that are 3 or 4 and 4 voters, and I'm just going to have our subscribers start calling and emailing and texting them to sign a free press petition. And what I have found is that when you start contacting people's constituents, especially the most loyal voters, and when they start hearing things like this, it is going to give them an unfavorable and accurate impression of Sexton's views on conservatism. And so it is my hope that, once we've reached 2,000 or 3,000 of those people, that I may at some point get a call from Cameron Sexton saying, hey, we'll let you in. And if not, it may inspire somebody in his district to replace him, which is probably what we need anyway.
Very interesting. I guess I was also wondering, I mean, have you tried the state Senate? Is there anything they can do on that side?
I could apply to McNally just to get the no, and I may do that later, but I understand what's going to happen. I talked to a very prominent talk radio host up in Nashville. I actually talked to several and called in a couple of times on different shows this week or last week. It's running together. And they say, oh, you can't complain until you've applied to the press corps. It's like, well, I know they're going to turn me down, and of course they did. And so I can send an email, and I will, to Randy McNally so we can get the official no. but I could not imagine the gentleman letting us in after Sexton said no.
Interesting. Okay. It just seems pretty crazy to me. I don't understand it, but other than for the reasons you cited, and you said it's not just you, it's other conservative outlets as well.
Yeah, the Tennessee Star, any conservative commentators, they've never let anybody in that has a different view. And it just goes to show you that Cameron Sexton and Republican leadership feels most confident and most comfortable in a room full of Democrat reporters. And that should alarm Tennesseans all over the state. And it's one of those canary in the coal mine things. It's an indicator that we've got a lot of work to do if we're going to really do the will of the GOP primary voter.
All right, I'm speaking with Brandon Lewis. He is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative. Lots of other stuff to talk about as well. What do you think about the special session? Not too surprising he called it.
Yeah, it is historically surprising in that typically governors have not abused this special session privilege, and he has done it twice now. This will be his third time. One was a quote-unquote emergency, and that was to give Ford Motor Company $2 billion in Tennessee taxpayer money. I don't know why that was an emergency or couldn't have gone through special session. The second time he did it was for red flag gun laws after the Covenant shooting. Had no interest in finding out the truth about it, just jumped immediately to, restricting Second Amendment rights. And this is the third time, and it's for school choice. And he has muddled the waters by putting disaster relief and illegal immigration in there as well. And, we have been hearing from East Tennessee lawmakers that they are being pressured to vote for school vouchers, even though maybe in these rural counties they're opposed to it, because they're afraid if they go against the governor that they will be punished from a hurricane relief standpoint. And so I've heard that directly from the horse's mouth from a couple of different people this morning. And so they should separate the issues out. I mean, if you're going to have an emergency session, I could see it for hurricane relief, but I can't see it for, hey, we need to do the voucher bill. That could have gone through regular order. Illegal immigration, perhaps, yes, I think that's an emergency, but the school choice stuff, not so much.
So you think he squeezed it in there to probably get it done ahead of time because, it's been controversial in a number of years. So he's just trying a different route here, trying a different tactic here is what you're saying?
Well, it's a crap sandwich, right? The one bun is illegal immigration, the other bun's disaster relief, and he put the school choice stuff in the middle. And the reason that he wants to do that, from my perspective, is because he does not want to risk it going through the committee structure. If you work the whole legislature and make a bunch of promises, that is a lot easier and a lot less risky because you can count the votes than just depending on 7 or 8 people on 2 separate education committees in 2 separate chambers. And so this is more of it is a political move. It is not a move of necessity. It is really not in keeping with the special session call, just as his emergency orders during COVID were not in keeping with the Emergency Powers Act. I mean, they originally wanted all that stuff to be for disaster relief, like true disaster relief, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. And it's amazing that it was never used for that. It was used for all this other stuff. So it is what it is. And hopefully the person that comes in after him will not be as abusive of the process.
Yeah. What do you think of, I don't know how much you've been keeping track. I had a little bit of my bullet points, but you have a couple of people that might be putting their hat in the ring for that race, including Senator Marsha Blackburn. And then the guy who used to be Kane in the WWE. Now he's the Knox County mayor. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, the most logical conclusion is that Glenn Jacobs probably originally wanted to run for governor. Marsha Blackburn's got a bigger list. She's got more money. She's got more name recognition. Mm-hmm. She's probably made noise about running for governor to him. And maybe the deal is, hey, listen, you support me for governor, I'll support you for the vacant Senate seat. We don't know that. That's all speculation. But, when somebody puts their eyes on one statewide office and they contemplate the mechanics of it and the financial requirements, if that door closes and another statewide office door opens, I think it would be very tempting. I couldn't imagine him bowing out that early and that abruptly if there wasn't something else in the works, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, technically he hasn't bowed out yet. He basically just said that if Marsha Blackburn decides to run, that he would not run, probably because he knows he would lose is one sense. But Marsha Blackburn has not made that decision. Do you think she will run? Do you have any idea?
And that's what I'm hearing. But, I don't put a whole lot of stock in political rumors because I hear rumors about myself all the time that come back to me in Hamilton County that are not true at all. It's like, yeah, I heard that you were going. I was like, I've never even talked to a human being about this. It's like two old ladies get together at lunch and they bull crap and they talk to a couple of other old ladies. And then the next thing you know, like it's all over the county and it's not truthful. And so I don't put a whole lot of stock in those rumors, but, we've done some polls with our list and online, and Tim Burchett has led Marsha Blackburn early on in some of these polls. And what I think happens a lot of times, you post these polls and then the consultants drive fake traffic to it. There are services that you can use to do that. And I did it before when I worked for campaigns. And so you'll see, like, Tim Burchett will take this big, huge lead, and then like 2 or 3 hours later, it starts swinging in these big numbers. And so I'm kind of dubious of that. So we will probably poll our list directly, because that is a lot harder through SurveyMonkey because it has IP addresses and things and to see where they stand. But who knows? I mean, it's one of those things that you can't really tell until all the horses are ready to run the race.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm speaking with Brandon Lewis of the Tennessee Conservative. Before I let you go, I'm curious about the story you had on your site. It says Chattanooga ranked number 1 in shoplifting rates among major U.S. cities. Were you surprised by this?
Well, I really like how Tim Kelly is moving us to the number 1 slot in so many crime-related areas. I think he's done a real good job as director of crime and crime increasing agencies all over the city.
Wow.
But it's just what happens, right? When you let homelessness run amok, when you let littering, loitering, and panhandling happen everywhere, when there's trash everywhere, when you don't police any quality of life issues and you barely police the murders, I mean, it's just this is what you expect, because criminals are, I mean, I hate to put it, they're little wannabe entrepreneurs, right? I mean, they're doing it in an easy that actually makes them less money worked. But when you send the signal and when word gets around that, you know what, you can do stuff in this town, you either won't get caught. If you're caught, you won't get prosecuted. And if you're prosecuted, you'll be let right back out. Then people are like, well, let's just do it. And so that is what we have had with Kelly, and I'm afraid it's going to continue. I know that he has some people running against him in the mayor's race, but I'm fearful that we will probably have to endure 4 more years of Tim Kelly, and I think that we're going to continue to see crime increase under his watch.
That's really unfortunate. You talk about the trash issue as well. I've heard a lot of complaints from listeners on the trash issue, but crime. I mean, you've been here a lot longer than I have. Is this a newer problem because of Tim Kelly, or has it just been a problem for a long time in this city?
It's a newer problem, especially, the panhandling and the homelessness, because, I mean, that creates a lot of the trash that you see that piles up in areas, especially during around retail shopping areas. Like the bottom of Signal Mountain used to be as pristine and as clean as you could possibly see. But since Tim Kelly, and really maybe a little bit early on when Burke was leaving office, you just started seeing these mountains of trash show up in the woods. I mean, just mountains of trash, and then people wandering around. And you're seeing it in places in Hickson. You're seeing it for a while in Brainerd, in Eastridge. And, if we're not careful, I mean, everybody looks at these pictures of what San Francisco and all these other areas look like that were once picturesque, that were truly great American cities, that were the standards of the world. And I'm afraid we're going to watch Chattanooga go down that same pathway if somebody doesn't start raising Cain about it. And you would think some of these city council people would stand up for their own districts in this regard, but I've not seen any of that whatsoever as long as Kelly has been in office.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like something needs to change for sure. Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative. Subscribe for free, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, really appreciate you coming on as always. I know we'll talk to you again in the future.
All right, buddy. Take care.